Morning.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to you because we're at my house.
This is true. I figured I'd welcome myself back.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Yes.
You are always
absolutely.
welcome here.
Certainly feel that through and through every time I come over here. I do appreciate the hospitality. And in paying that back, I figured I would bring over a bottle of one of my favorite ryes that we have out there, Sazerac Rye.
It's beautiful.
Great bottle.
Let's jump into that. First of all, welcome back for all of our listeners and viewers on YouTube. We are the Bottles and Bottles podcast. We're going to do a quick little shoot the shit Saturday. Little secret, it's actually Sunday. But we're going to do a shoot the shit Saturday on a Sunday.
We're going to do it.
So
we'll start it off hot, quick with a little bottle. That was very uneventful.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit more above pop. You've got your Saz Rye. There it is. It's just Corb and Adam today. Bill was busy being super dad. And I got to say, I like the Saz Rye.
It's a great 90 proof.
It's a good starter.
Totally foots the bill for me.
Yeah.
Anything under 100, I think that's nice even pour, don't you think?
That's real close.
That's real damn close.
That's the bartender hand right there. Then this is one of the first times I have not seen you use the jiggler.
The good old jiggler. Yeah. Morg really loves that.
Morgan loves when I say jiggler now because that's what she thought a jigger was called.
And that doesn't grind my gears at all.
Hey, whatever floats your boat. In all seriousness, though, the jigger has helped me like significantly with determining how much I know I can drink, and kind of what my limits are. So I never would have considered buying one because I'm like, oh, that's a bartender thing. But it's actually super helpful to have because I'm like, okay, we're going to a dinner event later. I want to have a quick drink after work on a Friday or something.
Yep.
I know I can have like probably 3 ounces of 100 proof or less and be okay.
Right.
And still be presentable to wherever we're going.
So you're not too banged up.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of weird. Like when you think about, I don't know, like we never had a ton of alcohol consumption in our house when we were kids.
I didn't either.
Yeah, like I mean, parents had like a full bar in their place, and it was always nice to have. But it's not like they would pour themselves a drink. But when you look at it, and you take a look at any like pop culture film or show, you've got a glass, and there's usually a really healthy pour of any whiskey, scotch, or liquid that goes into it. And you think about it. It's like, okay, well, I have a glass. I'm going to fill it up or at least like halfway. But if you think of what the ounce content of alcohol in that,
right,
it's high.
Yeah.
And so it's a little tough when you're looking at like, your regular like rocks glass and you've only got like a thin line of alcohol because not everybody drinks out of a Glencairn. Luckily, we're spoiled here and we have them.
Yeah.
But, even this is roughly probably 1.5 ounces.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
It's about 1.5 ounces.
Yeah,
that's usually
2 gives
what
you
I
right
pour.
about the full bill at the bottom.
Which is actually a good point. We had some friends over, and then we'll get to something more of value rather than us just talking,
chatting here.
Yeah.
All right.
We had some friends over, and one of the guys that came over is really into whiskey. He's just starting to get into it, and I pull out these Glencairn glasses. And he's like, what is that? Like, why are we drinking out of that? And he's like, don't you have any like whiskey glasses?
Everyone thinks a whiskey glass is this big, wide.
It's a rocks glass, right?
Right.
So why do we drink out of a Glencairn glass as opposed to a quote unquote tumbler, which is usually what you see in the movies, right? You almost never see somebody drinking whiskey out of a Glencairn glass.
Well, because it's awkward to kind of watch sometimes because when you are drinking out of it, you've got to like fully take it back.
Right.
But the whole point of the Glencairn is basically the reduction of where those vapors are kind of coming up through, right?
Yeah.
Does that age the whiskey at all? What would it be? The air exposure?
Yeah, I don't know that. maybe over time it would have an effect, as opposed to, I'm sure it would have a different effect than just storing it in an open rocks glass. But these are, for those of you not watching, a Glencairn, which is actually spelled a little bit differently. It's Glencairn.
I'm looking at the bottom of this glass because it's inscribed at the bottom.
Yeah, I just had to read it. So these are Glencairn glasses. They kind of look like.
I dare you to read it on the bottom of the glass. Like, just turn it over.
They look like a tulip. It's got like a.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's a tulip shape. So basically, with this kind of wider base and skinnier top, it's going to reduce the amount of alcohol that you're smelling, because those are going to be contained a little bit more in the actual bottom of it, where it's going to let the scent, the vapors of the type of whiskey that you're drinking, all the notes that come from it, those are going to be a little bit more prominent when you're smelling something like this. Where if you just take a straight rocks glass, which is just a cylinder, a short cylinder, and you sniff that, or even when you drink it too, because your nose goes in. So when you're drinking this, your nose does not go into the glass.
Yeah, you're gonna fry out your senses.
Right. So that's another part of it too, is the taste and the smell. There are two benefits of it, and that's what I explained. So I thought that was kind of a cool topic. And he was like, "Oh, that's super neat. I never even thought about that."
Yeah.
And man, this Saz is good. I always forget how much I like the Saz Rye. And you got this up in New York, right?
I did, yeah. Luckily, they've got a very healthy stock of them, which is kind of odd because they can't get their hands on Weller. But as Sazerac Rye is a brand of Buffalo Trace Distillery, and so is Weller.
Yeah.
You can't kind of get them in the same shot.
Yeah.
They do have it. It's on allocation up there, and
same here in Cleveland. It's actually very rare
that Saz Rye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's
super rare in Cleveland.
It's a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
That comes through every once in a while, but probably one of the best $30 bottles of rye that you can get.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for the liquor stores that have it up there. Supplying this.
Sorry, I'm swatting a little
invisible fruit fly.
Fruit fly.
Yeah.
Next to, for those of you watching, next to that Saz Rye bottle is what we call Whiskey War. And the reason I put this on camera is because, one, we're going to be tasting this next on our next episode.
They're Columbus-based. I got this, kind of a baby update. We had our baby shower last weekend, and that was one of the gifts. My wife or I guess our favorite gift was from Miles Radicevic. I mean, we love all the gifts we got, but sure.
When you open up diaper after diaper after diaper, and then all of a sudden you open it up and there's a bottle of wine and a bottle of whiskey.
There you go.
We were like, hey, who's this from? Who's this from? I mean, look, we need the baby stuff. We need it. But this one was just like so funny coming from one of our buddies who knows me too well. And it's so at any rate, we're gonna test that out in the next segment here. But that stuff was really good too.
Yeah. I've not tried it yet, so it'll be first take.
Yeah.
I figured we would start with this one.
Yeah, this is an easy sipper, easy way to dig into the morning, as it's 11:30. Kind of is it? Yeah, it's 11:30.
Yeah. It's acceptable for me. Yeah. I know our early morning shows usually are a little bit more difficult to get rolling.
Yeah. Did you buy any whiskey this week? Let's do a quick roundtable before we move on.
That's a good question. Picked up a bottle of Jack Daniel's Bonded. It's a typical one. I have not been buying that number 7 once they came out with that Bonded bottle.
Okay.
It's 100 proof. I really like it with, I know everybody goes for Jack and Coke, but I come from a Pepsi drinking family. What? And my grandfather, Jim, he's awesome, but he has taught me that Pepsi's the only way to go.
So you do Jack and Pepsi?
Jack and Pepsi. Yep. I know it's so odd, but it is so much better for me.
I don't know. I beg to differ on that one, but hey, That's your family. That's your family ritual over there.
Yep.
With the Pepsi only stuff.
Yep.
Was that the only bottle you bought this week?
It was the only one I bought. I was eyeing up the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof B522.
I picked one up.
You did?
Don't worry. I picked another one up. I think I have 2 of them now.
Do you?
Yeah.
It sat on the shelf. I mean, I was surprised because I think the place that I was looking at, they got it the week before. So I was a little curious, and plus with it only being 121 proof on this batch,
Yeah.
I feel like I've got enough of the A122. And I believe that was a higher proof.
Yeah. I love that. I love the A122.
You do?
It's probably one of my favorites. It's probably in my top 5.
It's almost sad when, the barrel proofs are great. It's nice that they do the different releases.
Yeah.
It's almost sad when they go away.
I know. Well, it's funny. It's harder for us to get those Elijah Craig barrel proofs here in Cleveland, although lately stores have been getting so many of them that they are sitting on the shelves for a few days.
Yeah.
So that's how I was able to get it. But I was talking to a buddy of mine who lives up in Michigan,
Yep.
and he told me, he's like, I can get that any day of the week.
Really?
Any day of the week. He's like, it's they don't even put it in their like allocated whiskey section. It's just on the shelf.
It's really odd on how some of that gets sorted out because, like we'd alluded to, Ohio, we don't get a ton of Sazerac Rye.
Right.
New York gets a bunch of it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like that Angel's Envy Rye. Ours is on allocation, but in New York it seems to not be.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just based off of what the demand is in the state.
Could be.
Just by chance.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. So Michigan would be a place to go take a weekend trip to, from what it sounds like, or an evening.
Yeah, I was gonna say
a quick up and back.
That's a quick one.
2 hours.
We might be able to work in a like a Red Wings game or something like that.
Shoot, man, we could probably go out and back in the afternoon. A
Yeah.
Red Wings game would be good. I haven't been down to that new, what is it, Little Caesars Arena?
I haven't been there either.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Never went to the Joe either.
I was at the Joe once.
Oh, you know what? I was. Not for a game though, and it's completely different.
Did you play?
Didn't play. No. Sadly, it was a work conference. Yeah,
At the Joe?
at the Joe. Yeah.
That's awesome. What company was that?
A long time ago, I worked for Quicken Loans. They're
Okay.
a great organization. They treat their people well, and they had everybody for an all-company meeting at the Joe.
Instead of Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland?
Well, they're actually headquartered in Detroit.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they just have a satellite office
Oh, okay.
in downtown Cleveland.
Interesting.
Yeah, but we had a meeting at the Joe. A lot of heritage at that place.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely an old style.
I'd love to go see Little Caesars. Let's make that a trip.
I think that'd be good.
Let's make it a trip. Maybe I'll bring the baby because baby will be
First
present.
game, yeah.
First game at
First
the Joe
game, yeah.
or at the Caesar.
So I think that'd be an interesting one to talk about on the next episode. When do you start taking kids out?
It's a good topic, and we will dig into that because we just there's a few things that I want to talk about in our next segment that'll be more baby related. This is again just kind of what's on our minds, but we were out with friends and we had some really good conversation last night, and a lot of good topics came up. So
Because you and Morg did a little bit of personal time yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did some because look, we're 30 weeks. The only reason I can remember that is because my wife has one of those little signs in her house that she changes the numbers on. It's sitting right over there. So we're at 30 weeks. We're like literally 2 months out from due date.
Dang.
Which is just wild.
I know.
It's absolutely wild.
I feel like I've gotten used to the fact that you guys have a little one on the way.
Mhm.
Like I've got you guys in their parents mode
Yeah.
where, it's I'm very much looking forward to watching you guys grow in this next chapter.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. But yeah, like I said, we'll get into that in the next segment. So listen in for that. Last note before we head off, while we're on the topic of hockey and that kind of stuff, you said you went to a hockey store here in Cleveland called Pirani's.
Pirani's, they're great. Awesome people there. They are, where are we at? We're in August. They're really gearing up for, pun intended.
Yeah, I was going to say.
For the season. So they luckily had a good stock of everything. I have been pushing off getting new equipment for so many years.
What do you need? What do you need? Not what do you want? What do you need?
Elbow pads is what I needed. I was nursing.
Man.
It's still there. That's over a month ago.
You got a nice lump there.
Yeah. Hopefully it goes down. I'm not sure if I popped that sack that's in there.
Oh, yeah. I've popped my sack a few times. No, I have. I mean, my elbows are just absolutely destroyed. What are you thinking? What are you talking about? Oh, boy. Off
Anything
the rails.
with sacks and popping, I'm just, it's a completely different topic.
It's a serious thing when you pop your sack, though.
Yeah, exactly. So I had an issue. I've been taping up my elbow pads for the last probably 2 seasons. Straps were all messed up. The main covering on the elbow was cracked down the middle. And I looked to the kid next to me at the last game I had played in. I'm like, I think this is the last game for these. Sure enough, I took a digger and fell right on my elbow. And that thing, it was like, it must have been leather on concrete because it like stuck and it pulled.
Ooh.
And the problem was that crack pushed into my skin and it just had that deep, deep thing. So I went back to the bench. I'm like, man, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And there's luckily only a couple minutes left in the game. We finished up and I went into the locker room afterwards and I pulled off my elbow pad and it was covered in blood on the inside where it bled through to the other side of the elbow pad.
Oh my God.
It was wild. So I'm like, all right, this is obviously, it needs to be done. So
you got to protect that sack, man.
You got to protect the sack at all costs. So needless to say, I went up to Pirani's, and they had everything in stock. And there was a pair of elbow pads. Bauer's got this new Supreme line called the Ultrasonic, which is something I like. It's, it's very form-fitting, snug, well protected.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I'm kind of tired of my gloves, and I'm kind of talking to myself. I'm like, well, this is how you get hurt. Like, you don't spend money on the things that you need. So
yeah, they
had a pair of gloves in black. I'm like, all right, well, I might as well go with that. And then next thing you know, it's like, well, I haven't bought a stick in a long time.
Oh,
so
God.
$700 later, I've got a full setup twig, gloves, and a pair of elbow pads.
Hey, do it now while you don't have kids on the way. Because I know usually I invest in some sort of hockey equipment for the upcoming season. There's just no need this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I referee hockey, so I'll probably get a new whistle. That's about it.
Well, luckily business has been very good from the sharpening standpoint this year, so I felt like I could budget for it.
There you go.
It was funny. I actually was thinking about that when I was going to the register. I'm like, this is so irresponsible.
You felt like me, huh?
Where I'm like, okay, I can I can spend, the whatever $100 on elbow pads, and then I'm like, well, all right, I might be pushing for a pair of gloves, and I'm really stretching for a stick, but I could justify it because there's means of income that it's there for. You know, that's why I'm still involved in making money in hockey.
Heck yeah.
But I thought, I'm like, well, if I had a child, I don't think that I would be spending this level of cash because a stick could be purchased for what, $50 now, 75.
Depending on where you want to go. Shameless plug here.
I was gonna say, don't you? We have friends that
so
you're involved in.
There's a company called Shift Hockey, and they've started manufacturing some sticks, and I'm doing the design side of things.
Really interesting concept.
Yeah, it's super cool. You can get custom sticks from your organization, for your team, for yourself.
Shift Hockey, SHIFT.
Yep, Shift Hockey.
Yeah.
But they're, you're talking a stick that is the same weight as the top of the line, Bauer, CCM, all those companies.
Yeah.
Same kind of construction.
Yeah. Traditional.
Traditional.
Yeah.
But it's about half the cost. You're talking anywhere between $150, $180.
Okay.
For a what you would spend $320, $350 on.
Oh my God.
At this point.
I saw the new release.
Crazy.
The Bauer put out some new Bauer Sync, which I think was a version of the Nexus Geo.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a geometrical design. $340 was the sticker.
God.
Which I was like, man.
You should have like a
wild.
4-year warranty on something like that.
So kind of judging from the perspective of respect, as soon as I left, I made a call to my dad. I was like, hey, I just want to take the moment to thank you for all of the times where I'm playing in a tournament and I break a stick and you don't bat an eye at spending at the time the $200 for a new high performance hockey stick.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting
part
there.
of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of the game.
And parents make it all worthwhile. A lot of respect for my parents, a lot of appreciation. So
absolutely.
Dale and Lori, I love you. They're my parents. They go by Mr. and Mrs. Green.
That's how I know them.
Mom and dad, always.
Yeah.
So thank you, mom and dad.
Yeah.
You guys are wonderful.
Yeah, that's a good way to end it. Thank you to my parents too, because hockey parents have to be dedicated. You have to be it's a lifestyle.
Oh, 100%. And hopefully there may be some little hockey players in our future.
There will be.
Yep. Hopefully.
I'm not going to force anything.
Fingers crossed.
I'm just going to strongly
encourage it. Yeah, absolutely.
But
well, thank you for joining us on the Shoot the Shit Sunday as a Saturday.
That's right. Go check us out on YouTube. If you're not watching, we're just at Bottles, and then you have to when you search on YouTube, do Bottles and then the ampersand.
Yeah,
Bottles.
Okay.
If you search Bottles and Bottles with the word, a bunch of really interesting music videos pop up. And
we could probably
like
work on that with some keywords.
Yeah, we'll work on it. But for now, Bottles ampersand Bottles on YouTube, and then our Instagram is bottles.n.bottles. And we're starting to get a little bit more active on there. We want to provide some more product reviews, baby stuff, whiskey stuff, just to help out in any way possible. So thanks again for joining, and we will catch you all in the next episode.